Okay, and y'all can see the slides and everything okay too? Okay, yay.
Awesome.
I am so glad that you're here. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. And we've got a lot of requests to talk about muscle testing. And it's a tool that you can use, especially now, to help you to kind of tune into your body and the subconscious mind to help you with a little bit of anything. So if you're somebody who struggles with making decisions a lot, or you're not sure, like we were just talking to Shirley about supplements and like, okay, which supplement should I do? You could muscle test those things and you could play with it. And it's a skill. So this is just a beginner class. So take this information and you can use that and start practicing it regularly. But the more that you do it, the better and the easier that it'll get. But this is a tool that I learned that changed everything for me with my health and just being able to tune into that intuition and that inner wisdom a little bit. And I always do a little medical disclaimer. It's not medical advice, or this isn't meant to diagnose or treat you or anything like that. It's really just meant to give you some education and some information around this, and not to replace a relationship with your doctor. All right, now that we got that out of the way, we can have some fun. This is a cool Albert Einstein. Oh, it's a little thing on the screen.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Thank you for that. Gotta love the technology. We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking that we used when we created them. So this is really set up to kind of be a tool to help with that, give you kind of a new perspective and a new way to think about things. And I love to think about it as listening to your body. So there's negative emotions as well as positive emotions. We can use our emotions as a key to let us know if we're on the right track, if we're doing the right thing. Maybe we have to make a decision on something. So this is what I like to call like your inner GPS system, and starting to pay attention to body sensations. And I think a lot of us have been taught from a young age not to pay attention to body symptoms, right? Like even when we're in school, it's like, okay, well, you have to hold it before you can go to the bathroom, or we have to wait for the bell to ring, or maybe you're thirsty, but you can't get up and go get a drink of water right away. So we're kind of taught to like suppress, or even if we're feeling physical pain, like to dismiss it and being like, oh, I can just push through, like, okay, and distract ourselves. So this is really being more present and sitting with that and just noticing how your body's feeling with those things. And usually a yes or something more positive is going to feel like Margot, she's excited. You're going to feel like expansive. A nose usually can feel tight, can feel contracted, can feel closed off. So if you're open, I'll have everybody, if you can, close your eyes. And I want you, we're not going to stay here long, but I just want you to observe and see what you're feeling. Think about a time where you felt very frustrated or misunderstood. Maybe you had like an argument with somebody or a conflict, and they did not understand where you were coming from. And it was just a really rough kind of situation. So just kind of think about that and just notice like where you're feeling it in your body. And so maybe you're feeling tightness in your chest, maybe you're feeling tightness in your neck or your upper traps or something. Just bring awareness to that. And we're not going to stay here long. Okay. Now, big breath in and big breath out. Okay, now like open your eyes, shake it off. Oh, okay. But that gives you some good feedback as to when we're feeling stressed, when we're feeling closed off, where we feel it in the body. And for some people, maybe head tension. For other people, maybe chest. For others, maybe like a pit in the stomach. So now I want you to close your eyes again and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And I want you to think about a time where you felt great gratitude, love, appreciation, and joy. Maybe you were on vacation and standing in front of the ocean. Maybe you were holding your newborn baby for the first time. Maybe you were petting one of your pets, a furry friend. Just notice how that feels in your body. Deep breath into there. And you can let it go. And they should feel a little bit different. You can open your eyes. And what do you notice? Is it different? Little, where do you feel it when you feel like the tightness, the contraction? You can say that out loud if you want, type it into the chat. Like when things are really heavy, what kind of symptoms do you notice popping up in your body? Headaches, heavy stomach, feel it in the gut. Yeah, feels kind of visceral. Do you notice like your shoulders tightening up or neck tightening up or just, and then when you thought about that time when you had great gratitude and appreciation and love, where did you feel that? Heart. Yeah. And some people even say they feel like a little tingly. You feel warm when it's a good thing, when it's a yes, it feels warm. Yeah, you could even notice like temperature changes and things. So this is all really helpful feedback that will give us some clues as to identifying, okay, is this a yes or is it a no? Are we on the right track or are we not? So I think of that as the inner GPS. And it can be really helpful to just kind of have it. Oh, see, that's a no. And then we get yes. Okay, so that was our inner guidance exercise, which we got to play with and do a little bit. But the more that you practice this and just even being aware and even honoring your body's systems of everything from even when you're thirsty, get up and get a glass of water. Noticing if you're tired, noticing if you're hungry, and also noticing that if you're feeling a little bit more stressed out, kind of like the volume of life has been turned up, are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Have you not gotten good sleep in a long time? Like start to look at those things too, because that will affect stuff. So when we're talking about like what muscle testing is, I believe this very strongly that you already have the answers inside of you. And that muscle testing is just a tool to help you access them. So you may have heard it called energy testing or applied kinesiology testing. A lot of chiropractors will do muscle testing. If you've ever had them put your arm out and then push on you a little bit and they'll kind of test for things, that's what they're doing. And it's basically a way to kind of tap into the subconscious mind a little bit to look for answers. But what's cool is we can do it ourselves. So yes, you can go to a chiropractor and get kinesiology tested, but you can also start to play with this here. So the subconscious mind is a really interesting thing, and it's more than 1,000,000 times more powerful than your conscious mind. And it controls up to 95% of our lives. When you think about it, a lot of times we're on autopilot. We tend to sleep on the same side of the bed, get up every day, drive the same way to work every day, eat the same meals regularly that we're kind of rotating through, watch the same TV shows. We're kind of on autopilot with a lot of stuff. And only 5% of our memories and that other data are in the conscious mind. And so this is bringing some presence and some awareness to that, which is really interesting. So if we want to make big changes in our life, we have to be able to kind of tap into the subconscious mind. This is also why our thoughts run on autopilot. We're often thinking the same thoughts. Most of the time they're negative. This is why when we're trying to bring awareness to those and change those thoughts, it's a little bit like a muscle, and even just noticing them and knowing that you're not your thoughts, you're the observer of your thoughts. But it's all kind of fascinating stuff. So we're all energy. The body has an electrical network within it, and it's connected to that subconscious mind, and it helps to kind of respond to positive or negative things. And if something doesn't feel good to your body or doesn't resonate, that energy flow will temporarily short circuit, affecting that energy running through your muscles. So we know that and we can monitor some of this energy. Like you think about when you get an MRI and it's looking at energy, when we're getting a heart monitor, an EKG, and we're seeing how the electrical impulses are running through the heart. So there's ways that we can kind of look at this. This is similar, but everything can affect that electrical system or that energy, your thoughts, your emotions, the foods that you eat, other substances, oils. Oils have a frequency and an energy when we use them. So this is just a way to tap into the subconscious mind and start to ask and start to see and ask directly, like, will this help? So, like, this is an interesting thing. I want everybody to say, I can. Yeah, I can.
I can't.
Okay, now say, I can't.
I can't.
I can't.
I can't.
I can't.
I can't.
Does it feel different when you say one versus the other?
More effort to say I can't.
Is there like a little resistance that kind of comes up?
Mhm.
And if you notice, everybody gets like a little bit quieter with the I can't. The I can is kind of like I can, and then I can't. Just feels a little bit different. So even our words, our thoughts, all those things can kind of affect it. So before we even start with muscle testing, it's important to balance your energy. You may have heard of grounding or earthing, like just putting your feet on the earth. We'll talk about that. I'll give you like 2 little kind of exercises that can help, but you could also use your oils. So balance oil is a grounding blend that you can put on the bottoms of your feet. That's a great thing to do every day to kind of start your day to just ground in. What's really interesting about that, there's a YouTube video that you can look up that shows balance oil. They did like live blood cell analysis. So they did a blood draw and they looked at that under the microscope and you could see the red blood cells and they look like really clumped together and they're moving really slowly and it's all kind of congealed. And then they apply balance oil and they take another blood draw and the red blood cells look big and they're moving. So even at a cellular level, oils have a frequency. Applying those can change your frequency too and kind of help with that. Even I love to do like frankincense on the top of the head or even over your forehead or over the third eye. That's a really great thing, like before meditation or prayer time, to just kind of balance, which is fun because we're talking about frankincense and right, it's a baby Jesus oil. We kind of use it a lot during religious practices or prayer time or meditation, all of that. So grounding or earthing is actually just like putting your feet on the earth. It's kind of cold here today, but if it was warmer, or even if you just did it for a little bit, this helps to kind of connect you to the Earth's north and south poles, but it kind of pulls in some of that, those negative ions of the earth, but even just kind of helping the body recalibrate itself. So there's a reason why, like when people walk on the beach, they feel different, like putting their toes in the sand. It's really interesting. My nephew is 3 and he does this just innately. He'll go outside, there's a sandbox and he'll take off his socks and shoes and he'll put his feet in the sand. And I was like, oh, he's grounding himself. Like he just does it. We haven't taken him to the beach or anything like that. Like he just innately does that. It's a sensory thing. So when you can, going outside and putting your feet on the ground is powerful. So it kind of works. It's kind of helping us to recharge our polarities a little bit. And there's a lot, I know this sounds woo-woo, but there's a lot of research about this where it can actually help with stress levels and balancing the autonomic nervous system. And before we started, we were having a conversation about COVID and long haul COVID symptoms and how some people, like after they get COVID, they just feel kind of run down for a while, or maybe they notice more aches and pains or things like inflammation in the body. So when we can, anti-inflammatories can be really helpful, like turmeric and deep blue polyphenol complex and alpha CRS plus fish oil. So maybe you take 4 XC omega fish oils a day, maybe go up to 6 to 8. But also spending more time outside, spending time away from screens, grounding your feet outside, meditation, like all of these things are also going to help with calming down and getting us out of the fight or flight into more of the rest and digest. So these are simple things and grounding's free. You can just go outside and put your feet on the grass. If you can't do that for some reason, you could get a big bowl of like rocks or sand, or they even make grounding mats that actually like plug into the wall that you can put your feet on to ground you. So a lot of us don't do that as often, but there's a lot of big benefits that being in nature and being outside has for our health. So it's something to play with. Another thing that you can do to balance your energy is called eye tracing. And this is from Donna Eden. She does a lot of energy medicine work. But it's something that I learned from a lot of this. I learned from this book, How to Heal Yourself When No One Else Can. It's a really interesting book. And I did it when I kind of came across it when I was like in the trenches with healing from chronic Lyme disease, and it had a lot of really good stuff. What I find interesting is chronic Lyme and the symptoms show up very similar to long haul COVID. There's a lot of similarities with like almost like a chronic fatigue syndrome type stuff, having weird neurological stuff. So I think there's a lot of things here that are helpful, but this is meant because the energy is meant to kind of flow in a crossover pattern. So kind of similar, like we have the brain's right and left hemispheres, or when we walk, when we swing our arms and we're walking, we're crossing, we're kind of alternating. Or when you watch a baby crawl, like if you saw Margot crawl, that alternating crossover pattern that we see. So this is a way that you can help to kind of balance the energy where you actually just like trace your eye. You just kind of go back and forth. It's just very lightly. It doesn't have to take a long time. But if you're feeling stressed or if you're feeling anxious, maybe you're having more physical pain or something, this is something that you can just do for a few minutes, a couple times a day. And if you try it, it is kind of soothing to just kind of do that. You could even apply an oil with that if you wanted. Now, we don't put oils in the eyes. We don't put essential oils in the eyes, and we don't put them in the ears. But everywhere else is kind of fair game. So, you could put a little bit of like maybe frankincense or immortelle or something, and just kind of lightly start to trace, and just do that whenever you needed to. So maybe something to kind of add to your morning routine or your evening routine. And you can play with it. And you may find that you like one of these more than the other. So I always believe the proof is in the pudding, and you're going to find something that works good for you. Thymus tapping is really interesting. So the thymus is the master gland of your immune system. It makes the T cells that we need to have an immune system that's functioning properly. And it helps to protect with allergies, autoimmune diseases, immunodeficiency, anything like that. It's here in that kind of upper part of the chest, kind of like where a necklace would fall for most people. And it sits behind that breastbone, sits like right over the heart. And so sometimes whenever you have like anxiety or you feel stressed, do you ever feel that like flutter in your heart? It's just kind of, or you feel it in your chest. I think it's interesting how some of those things innately tune us into the thymus. It's like, hello, we're talking to you. Or if you see like a gorilla will like be on their chest sometimes. I find it all very fascinating, but this is something that is part of that energy sister that can be a stress modulator. So whenever you feel upset, or if you're kind of feeling a little bit more stressed out, you can actually tap on it. So I like to use all my fingers, but you could kind of do whatever feels comfortable for you and just lightly tap. And you may notice as you start tapping on this, that it feels a little tender. Does anybody feel tender? Like when it is a little sore feeling, maybe like a bruise? If it is, just go gentle with it. It's not like the more the better. But if it's a little bit tender, that usually means that there's some stagnant energy there, and that it's actually really good to do this regularly. But you could do it randomly. You could do it like your heartbeat, like ba-bum, 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 and tap there. You can do this throughout the day. You can add this with some deep breaths. You could add this with an essential oil. What I find so interesting, and it's the holiday season, and we're like around the more family and people, right, is there's a correlation between the immune system and the immune system protecting us from invaders, right, coming into the viruses, bacteria, things like that. And also on an energetic sense, we've all been around those people that are kind of like negative Nellies. You know what I mean? Like your energy feels drained when you're around them, right? You're like, oh, maybe you have a conversation and you like go, oh gosh, like, ooh, like you just kind of pick up on other people's energy. So these oils that help our immune system, like tea tree and On Guard and DDR Prime, and some of these big hits that are like powerful to support your immune system that we use a lot during this time of year, are also really powerful for energetic boundaries, as well as things like Terra Shield, which is like a bug repellent, like kind of a bug off. So you could put a little bit of On Guard or DDR Prime or tea tree over the thymus if you wanted, and then kind of tap on those areas too to kind of move it around. But that's an easy thing that if you're just feeling stressed, and remember, it's very hard for the body to heal in a stressed out space. So when you notice it as you're tuning into that inner GPS and you're like, oh, I'm feeling stressed out. What are the thoughts that I'm thinking around this? Can I shift my thoughts around? Can I put an oil on? Can I tap? That'll help to kind of move that out. But this is a great thing to do to just stimulate the thymus gland, and it's free. It doesn't cost anything to do any of these things, to just kind of move things around, but just to kind of add it in. Or maybe you just set an alarm a couple times a day on your phone to just like check in, and maybe you do the moving over with the eyes, or maybe you do the thymus tapping and kind of play with it. So this is where we have fun. Okay, so we should stand up for this, for the pendulum sway. And you'll want your feet about shoulder width apart, feet pointing forward. You can kind of put your, relax your hands at your side. If you can do so safely, close your eyes, take a deep breath. And we're going to start to ask a question. So as we're standing here, the first thing that I want you to do is actually just say out loud, or you can say it in your mind as you're standing here, show me a yes. And you'll find that your body will probably move one direction. Now say, show me a no. And your body will kind of move a different direction. Okay, so then you can play with it more. You can say, like, my name is, like, for example, I'll say, my name is Laura. And my yes is I tend to move forward. So you can play that with you. I can say, my name is Bugs Bunny. And I move back. So do you feel it? Do you kind of innately feel a little bit of a shift? It's weird, right? Yeah, it's super weird, but it's interesting. So this is where you can start to play with stuff. If you're getting a reverse action, if you're saying, show me a yes, typically people move forward. Is everybody moving forward? Anybody not moving forward?
I went back when I thought about the yes.
You went back when you thought about the yes. Okay. So go back to the thymus, tapping a little bit, tap on the thymus a little bit. And maybe even do a little bit of the tracing with the eyes. That just means that we need to kind of rebalance things a little bit. So we want to kind of balance everybody so that they are moving forward with a yes and backwards with a no. Some people will even move like forward and to the right with a yes, and like back into the left with a no. You may kind of see with that. And it does work best, interestingly enough, but it makes sense because it's electricity, it's energy. Works better when you're fully hydrated and better when you don't have electronics on you. So if you have like a phone in your pocket or something, that could like throw things off a little bit. Okay, so try it again. Deep breath in, close your eyes, and say, show me a yes. And show me a no. Okay. Are you feeling it? Yeah? Interesting. Did it correct, or is it still doing a little?
Well, this time I kind of went both ways with yes and no. So, I mean, I kind of went forward with both of them.
Interesting. Okay, so sometimes when that happens, I'll like actually just like, you can do it or somebody else can do it for you. I'm just kind of flipping back and forth. This is the woo, this is the energy medicine stuff that I think is really interesting. And then I'll have you just like tap on your thymus again. Actually, Mark, I'm gonna have you stand up here. You're gonna be my like display person for our Zoom people. Here, come this way. Say hello. So if you're moving backwards with a yes, or if it's not, or you're moving the same way for both, you can have somebody, you can do it on yourself, just kind of flip hands back and forth. to kind of recalibrate.
You flipping me?
That doesn't sound nice. Okay. Okay, I want you to try it again now.
Okay.
And say it with a little bit of gusto. Say it out loud and come forward a little bit because you're kind of against the couch. Yeah, yeah. Okay. And just say, show me a yes.
Okay.
Okay. Show me a no.
Still forward.
Still forward. Interesting. And that's
Because I pushed.
keep playing with it a little bit. And I would keep doing that and just keep playing with it. And it should kind of recalibrate a little bit. That's really interesting. But it's a tool, it's something to play with. Okay, now here's like rules. You have to be relaxed and detached from the answer. Just focus on the question. You cannot do this to win the lotto. Of like, give me lotto numbers. They're like,
there for you, right?
but and the more specific that you can be, the better with things. But it will get easier the more that you practice doing this. So I like to do it with oils. You could even like pick up oils and be like, okay, do I need this one? Okay, see, I'm responding well to this one. And then you could ask, do I need it aromatically? Do I need it topically? Like I get a no, but I get a yes for aromatic. You could do it with supplements. You could grab like I don't necessarily take every single one of my supplements every day. I can kind of hold it up and muscle test it, and you could test how many. Like, do I need 1 deep blue polyphenol? Do I need 2? And kind of see. I'll do this in the grocery store, like picking out produce. Nobody has to know what you're doing, right? You're just like, you're picking up something and you're like, okay, is this resonating? You can kind of do it quickly. Nobody knows, but it's a way to kind of play with things, even with what I wear. Or if you're just like, sometimes I get up in the morning and I just think about an oil. I'm like, oh, I need this. And then if you look it up in the Emotions and Essential Oil book or in the app, I'll be like, oh, that's why I needed that oil. Or like an outfit will just pop into my head of like, oh, wear this today. And you can just start to, you can start to get more into it and just kind of play with it and just start to trust those things. The muscle testing gets easier the more self-confident you are. And it's like a tool to kind of help to kind of tune in. So the more that you do this and play with this, the more that it will help. But I do it with a lot of different things. You can also do it for other people. So if you had kiddos or somebody, you could kind of muscle test like on their behalf and kind of see what would resonate, but start to ask these questions and play with it a little bit. It's really interesting. The other way that you can do this, so this is called like a standing pendulum sway, where we're actually feeling our bodies move back and forth. If you have a necklace or you have a pendulum or something that you can kind of play with. And so Kim, this may work better for you too. Like if you can take it off and like I have this pendulum, but like a necklace, anything that you can have there. And as you're kind of holding it, let's see, this is also very interesting to play with. So you can kind of hold it here and same thing, say, show me a yes. And you may see, like mine's kind of moving left to right. You may see circles or diagonals. You'll see what
Back and forth.
back and forth.
To the side.
And I actually find that you do have to kind of ask it with some gusto, like show me a yes. Okay, and just see how your pendulum's moving, see, and then say, show me a no.
I went backwards. That was too weird.
Yeah, isn't it
I
weird?
was trying to keep it from.
So mine was kind of going side to side and now it's
There you
going
go.
like
Interesting.
counterclockwise. It's really weird. And people will be like, you're moving it. And you're like, I'm not. Like it's just, so this is another way that you could play with it of using the pendulum. Like maybe for you, the pendulum would be like a better tool to start out with. Some people like feeling their body move with this, but same thing. So you could kind of play with it and use it as a yes or a no. And you could use a necklace. There are like actual pendulums, this is like I think it's tiger's eye, like a crystal pendulum. If you have a pendulum or you get a pendulum, they recommend to keep it like close to you. So put it in your pocket or put it in your purse, or so it kind of picks up on your own energy. Like don't let other people use your pendulum because that's going to be yours for your energy. But it's really interesting. So that's another way that you could play with it and ask questions and kind of use that too. Any questions over any of that? It's kind of a fun thing.
I felt myself moving on the yes forward,
Yeah.
but on the no.
But on the no, you didn't move. And that could be
Because I have my phone in the pocket.
maybe. Let's try it. Here, take a step forward. Like yeah, put your phone down anywhere. Feet about shoulder width apart. Close your eyes. And I'll have you say it out loud too. Like just say,
Okay.
show me a yes.
Show me a yes.
Okay. Show me a no.
Show me a no.
A little bit. Okay, say, my name is, it's Jeff, right? Say, my name is Jeff.
My name is Kim
We'll find
Stein.
out. We're gonna get. Hey, either should work.
Sure.
Okay, say, my name is Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
Say, my name is Bugs Bunny.
My name is Bugs Bunny.
Are you feeling it shift at all?
Yeah.
A little bit? Do you feel it kind of?
I kind of shifted forward to the right.
Okay.
So
Kind of play with
you're
it.
talking to the guy who owns.
Yeah, there she goes. She's gonna clear your energy.
I don't know the term scripts too. So.
But I like Bugs
I
Bunny.
got my
He doesn't let you change ringtone on his phone.
Oh, there you
Does
go.
it really? Okay.
Oh,
So what would be something that's like super absurd that you would just be like,
Baby
no.
Yoda.
Like-
A character you don't like.
What's
Who's
that?
that?
A character you
Yeah.
don't like.
Like Rainbow Bright or something. Like see,
My name is Rainbow Bright.
oh! Oh, we scared Margot. Yeah.
Sorry.
Rainbow Bright. So sometimes it's getting things that bring a strong like emotional response, right? I'm like, nope, yep, maybe somewhere in between. But it's fun to kind of play with it. And the more that you do it, it'll get easier. And it'll get to where you'll know the answer before you, like as you're asking it. Like you almost don't even need to feel this way or do the thing, you'll just know. Like when you start, it gets easier and easier, which is kind of fun too. And then I put some resources here too. This book is excellent if you're curious about like diving deeper into muscle testing or energy medicine, or talks a lot about like, yeah, here, I'll pass it around. You can take a picture of it. How the emotions can play in with the physical, clearing emotions, emotional freedom technique or tapping. Like there's a lot of things that you could do with this and kind of play with this. But that's a really good one. And I would say too, like, I always want to know what you want to learn. Like if there's another class, if you want to learn about essential oils and emotions, if you want to learn about oils and pain, if you want to learn about like whatever it is, my goal is to have, for people that want to, for people that are open to meet once a month, to just like do topics like this. Because the virtual is great and it's really helpful. And we have Oilers all over who are from all over the world, so they can't come here. And so they can participate virtually, but there's something kind of cool about like actually being in the room where it happens or getting to see people or do stuff too. So if you have any suggestions, yeah, we are having too much fun, Becca. If you have any suggestions, let us know. If there's a topic that you want to talk, like we were having a whole conversation about long haul COVID and things that we could do. There's some interesting research about Tulsi or holy basil that I've come across about like using it as like an oral mouth rinse, specific with COVID, and some really interesting research about eucalyptus and diffusing that and applying it topically, kind of helping with spike proteins. So I would be like, yeah, use Tulsi topically, do an oral rinse with Tulsi, use eucalyptus a lot. And eucalyptus is in Breathe and On Guard. And Breathe is for aromatic and topical use, but we can use On Guard internally. So there's a lot of different things that we can kind of play with.
I do have a lot of people who ask about vaccines. I
Mhm.
wish they had them.
Mhm.
Is there something that can be done?
Yeah, so some things to help to kind of detox after the vaccine. A lot of liver support. So Zendocrine is really good. Geranium's also really good for the liver. So someone's asking if we take holy basil internally. Technically, no, it's not one of those oils. Usually you'll know if you can take an oil internally because you'll see a supplement fact on it, like what you would see on food. If you see a supplement fact, you know that you can take it internally. But the research, and they did specifically say at convention that you can use it as a mouthwash. So that's what I'm telling people. Like, don't take Tulsi internally, but use it as a mouth rinse, where you can kind of put it in and then you can spit it out. But yeah, for the vaccine. So I like to do a roller bottle with like Zendocrine and geranium and start putting that over the liver, which is on the right hand side of the body, kind of under the rib cage, and over the kidneys, which are that flank lower back area back here. So applying that regularly daily. I would even do like some DDR prime or Zendocrine. Zendocrine's a detoxification blend, so you can take that orally and internally. DDR prime is going to help with cellular repair. So that would be another really good one to do as well. And I'd say work on the inflammation. Like, it's all about working on reducing inflammation. So Lifelong Vitality Pack, Alpha CRS Plus, up the XC omegas a little bit, turmeric, deep blue polyphenols. And I would just even add in like time outside, the grounding, all of this stuff that we're doing, like the energy kind of recharging thing can be really helpful to have on hand too. But and hydration, drinking a lot of water. You'd be surprised how many people are not like having a bowel movement every day. Like, I work with clients that they're like only pooping once a week. We're toxic. Like, if stuff is not, we need to be like babies and dogs and cats where we eat something and it comes out, right? So if it's not moving, then adding in things like Terrazyme and Digestin and doing some things for gut health to kind of get stuff moving too, because that's really important as well. But yeah, if there's ever any topics that you want to learn about, I love to teach. So just let us know, and we'll I think that would be a fun thing to just like meet once a month. And these are open to everybody, whether you have an account with doTERRA or not. So you can bring friends or just anybody who's kind of curious about health or holistic tools to kind of help them with that. That's a good question. Any other questions about anything? No? So far, so good? Okay. Well, we have like giveaways. We have some fun things.
Get your name in the drawing.
Oh yeah. Linda, here, write your name in here. We've got a bunch of fun stuff on the table. So we'll do some fun giveaways, and we have iTopi scans.
Oh, sure, let me check.
Thanks for joining us.